Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Come on in. I decided to do this video, and I actually didn't even have it scheduled. I was going to talk about something else, and I'm probably going to do that video probably on Tuesday. But tonight's broadcast is a special broadcast because today another writer slash Arthur, whatever you want to call her, decided to jump out a cliff, and she decided to write a hit piece, and it's called "Understanding ADOS: The Movement to Hijack Black Identity and Weaken Black Unity in America." Uh, I don't even know why she wrote this. Her name is Jessica Ann Mitchell Aiwuyor. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I don't know. But anyway, she wrote an article on her blog and she decided to publish it today. Um, where she tries to go through and discuss ADOS, the movement itself. Um, I, for one, don't even know what exactly gave her the, I guess you want to say, the power to do this. It seems like, every day, every hour, every minute, there's somebody who is black who is trying to attack the movement. And when I went to her Twitter handle, is at Tweeting Jam. I noticed one thing that stuck out to me very, very quickly was that I was blocked. I don't know this woman. I've never engaged her. I've never had a Twitter conversation with her. But for some reason, I'm blocked. And I take that as a sign of weakness when you block folks because, you don't give someone an opportunity to, you know, debate or even bring you a different narrative. So since she decided to block me, I'm going to go through her paper and dissect every piece of it and debunk every talking point that she has put up. Now, you all can comment, as always, like, subscribe to my channel. It's brand new. I decided to launch it just to give another voice out here because I'm actually in the streets as an activist for ADOS. um, so I decided to launch this channel for that particular reason, to actually talk about the things that ADOS is doing across the country. And um, I think sometimes people think that there's no movement on the ground, and that we're just people that are social media hacks, and 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 that we don't do anything other than just tweet. But we got chapters across the country that are doing great work, and I want to start this channel just so that people could see the work, and I can have different activists from different chapters come on my show and talk about the work that they're doing. Excuse me about that. So we're gonna get into this. So first of all, it's about 23 pages long. So y'all got to bear with me on this. I'm gonna go through. I'm not gonna read every single point, but I'm gonna touch all her talking points that she decided to put in bold. Um, and I'm gonna drop. I'll probably drop a link here into the chat. I'm about to drop it in there so y'all can see it. It's a PDF, so y'all should have that. I'm dropping it in the chat so y'all can see what I'm talking about here. So we're gonna go through the first part. She says she gives an overview of ADOS, right? Her synopsis is the term ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, was created in 2016 to describe and distinctly separate Black African Americans from Black immigrant communities, Africans, Afro Caribbeans, Afro Latinos, etc. The movement claims to advocate for reparations on behalf of Black Americans. But she ain't lie about that because that's what we're doing. We are a lineage-based movement that is anchored in data, that is fighting for a Black agenda and reparations on behalf of those who descend from American chattel slavery. Great, great, okay. However, this movement leadership is linked to white ring media and white supremacists that have a history of attempting to cause division in the Black community. First and foremost, I don't know. No, no, I don't. I'm not a white winger. We're what media? What media are we assigned to that is white wing? Like that's what I'm trying. Right off the rip, I'm trying to understand. Where she got this from? White wing media. Like, for the longest, there's only been two voices that have really, besides the ones that are on the ground, there's only been two voices that have been speaking about ADOS and the reparations movement that is bound by our unique justice claim. And that was Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell. They are on YouTube. What white wing media what white wing media station have they been amplifying a white supremacist talking points on? Point me to that. Please point me. If anybody in the chat, if y'all have this, please point me to it because I want to know where she got this from. And then she goes on to say these white supremacists have a history of attempting to cause division in the black community. Where's where's this coming from? Is it where if you're gonna make points, and I don't self-subscribe to be an academic when it comes to writing a bunch of papers. I've had to write a bunch of stuff on my master's degrees, and my undergrad. I had to write a bunch of papers for those things. But every time that I actually went and did some research and and had to make a point, I had to cite the source that it was coming from. Not some propaganda that you just did up a thin air. You got to have some type of source that you have gotten this information from. I don't see one in her synopsis at all. I don't see any type of work that was cited, anything. ADOS leaders say they're used the moniker ADOS as the part of their legal justice claim for reparations, but instead it is likely to be used to create policy that would further marginalize and oppress black communities. Once again, state your source. Where is this coming from? The ADOS movement is particularly seeking to impact the 2020 presidential election, the 2026s, and beyond. True, we are. And we're trying to impact it because we're fighting for a black agenda. I don't see an issue with that. The 2020 census, yes, we want a designation that says ADOS. Why? Because we need the data to be broken down to find out exactly who has descended from slaves and what policies are being put in place to address the systemic and institutionalized racism that we have had to have dealt with for generation after generation. What is the problem with that? Every other person, every other ethnic group besides African Americans have some type of designation to describe their lineage in the census. So what is the problem with that? Why can't black Americans have that? Why can't I know where you are from? What is there to hide? See, this comes from people who are not anchored in data, and they for some reason want to lump all black folks in together, like our basis for being here and our experience and cultural identity are the same, and they are not. So they need to be separated so we know what we are dealing with. I see no problem with that. It should have happened a long time ago. ADOS appears to be highly sophisticated propaganda campaign. Here's another opinion. Using combinations of African American history in order to build trust, along with disinformation and misinformation tactics. What disinformation and misinformation? Everything that Yvette and Antonio have brought to ADOS has been anchored in some type of research. It's been anchored in some type of data that has been quantified and qualified by not just them. It's not like they're writing this stuff. They're pulling research from the Pew Institute, Research Institute, from Duke University, from Ohio State, from Howard University, from MIT. You name it, they're pulling the data from all different types of places to formulate this claim. So I don't understand where this disinformation and misinformation comes from. Then she goes on to talk about, they have support from Dr. Darity and Dr. Cornel West. We already know that. And and that has been able to give us some type of legitimacy in various circles. Excuse me. allowing it to grow through support from unsuspecting Black Americans that support reparations. So, because Dr. Cornel West, because Dr. Sandy Darity have set themselves, have positioned themselves to support ADOS, she is claiming that Black folks unwillingly don't know anything or somehow getting suckered into a movement that they have anything to do with. That's what I got from that. We just some dumb Negroes that don't know how to read data, understand data, regurgitate data, and we are not smart enough to know when somebody is trying to manipulate us. I don't get that. So then she has a little overview. She goes over, you know, she tries to put the overview of ADOS. So this is what she messes up at. On the cusp of Black Lives Matter and in the middle of the International Decade for People of African Descent, a fringe movement called American Descendants of Slavery has emerged to systematically fracture Black communities and directly attack Black unity and or, here we go, this is the reason why she wrote this, Pan-Africanism among the U.S. Black population. There it is. She's a Pan-Africanist. Somehow or another, ADOS is responsible for directly attacking Black unity. Okay. And Pan-Africanism among U.S. Black population. I don't understand why everybody feels that every Black person is somehow in solidarity, and has to have a Pan-Africanist view. I think Yvette and Antonio have clearly said that we support ADOS support reparations claims for every single person who has a unique justice claim against the country that has enslaved them. What else do you want us to do? If Haiti goes after reparations for France, we say, go get your check. Stop paying these people for your liberation and your freedom. We support that. If Jamaica wants to go after the Brits with CARICOM and go attack England and all the other countries that enslaved their people, they should have a right to do that. Yes, we support that. So I don't understand why there has to be some feel that some reason ADOS is anti Pan African. What else support do you need? Do you need us to join your movement? Because what we see is that that Pan Africanism is only participated in, or only is a self-subscribing ideology that only exists here in the United States. That's what I get from it. And it may be some fringe movements overseas and a little bit, but when are they making noise? Everybody talks about the year return to Ghana. Ghana not giving us citizenship unless you're of a Ghanaian descent. Nigeria had a straight up law that got put into place. Go look it up. That said that they weren't giving citizenship to nobody outside of Nigerian descent. Where's the love at? Where is this love? So the movement relies heavily on white. We already went over that white wing, anti-black. How are we anti-black? We're black. How are black folks anti-black? So ADOS members are a bunch of coons. How are we anti-black? Anti-immigrant talking points. Uh, uh, so we're xenophobes, we're anti-black, we're white wingers. But we are fighting for a unique justice claim for the descendants of slaves, but somehow or another we anti-black. Okay. The main slogans are ADOS, hashtag ADOS, tangibles 2020, and cut the check. All right, let me stop y'all right there, and I'm gonna give you the overview. First of all, cut the check, tangibles 2020 are not ADOS talking points. Those are not ADOS talking points. Those talking points were created with Tariq Nasheed and the FBA part that were cloaking up on the ADOS. Those are their talking points. You have never heard. You have heard Yvette talk about having tangibles, but she's never used the hashtag tangibles 2020. So don't put that on the ADOS movement. ADOS is often aligned with other groups similar beliefs called Foundational Black Americans, founded by filmmaker and YouTube personality Tariq Nasheed. Why? Why? This was just published this today, I think, because it came out. You said January 2020. Did she not know that ADOS and FBA have separated themselves completely, and they ain't like we completely separate? Like this is intellectual laziness right here, right? But she wants to try to lump everybody in. Despite its claimed reparations focus, the ADOS movement appears to operate like the Trojan horse to infiltrate the black community, hijack black American identity, and contaminate legit causes like the fight for reparations and civil rights. Okay, we're acting like a Trojan horse to infiltrate the black community. It's our community. Hijack the black American identity. How are you going to tell us what black American identity is when we descend from slaves and you don't? See, uh, how see, this is what I'm talking about right here. How are you going to decide what American identity is when we have lived it, when our ancestors have lived it? We are the products of the black American identity. We are the descendants of slaves here in the United States. It's our identity. So how are we hijacking it? I can't hijack being ADOS. I'm a descendant of slaves. My family dealt with Jim Crow. My family dealt with convict leasing, mass incarceration, systematic and institutional racism, getting their land taken from them during the farming industry. My ancestors not being able to get the GI Bill when they fought in the world wars. This is what we're talking about. This is black American identity. And to contaminate legitimate causes like the fight for reparations and civil rights. Our main fight is reparations and civil rights. So and so that's the part that kills me. So she's not no Kelly. She's not a descendant of slaves. No, no, she's not. And she won't really talk about her background. She really won't talk about her background other than she got two master's degrees, one in Pan African Studies and another one in something else. But other than that, she doesn't go too far into her history because that lets you know that she's not anchored in data or anchored in ADOS life because she doesn't talk about anything besides her having degrees. So so we get down to these talking points, right? So here we are with this part of a critical look at the group's leadership. Proposed policies and action provides more insight concerning the ADOS movement's true intentions. Here we are, right here. And I'm sorry I'm kind of long-winded. And I'm on page 4, but I'm gonna kind of move kind of swiftly through this. Here you go. ADOS harmful and anti-black practices and policies. ADOS leaders have a history of working with white-wing media like Newsmax and the fake progressive organization Progressives for Immigration Reform that is supported by white supremacist John Tanton. Okay, Newsmax. Who's worked with Newsmax? I've never worked with Newsmax. Who are these leaders? Like I wish that people when they come because she changes this up. She changes up. So point number one was that we've been working with PFIR, and Yvette has went in ad nauseum and talked about her relationship with PFIR, and somehow or another is linked this white supremacist John Tanton who died a few years ago. But for some reason, he keeps bringing brought up. Like the man is like being a white supremacist from his grave or something. Like the man is dead. He's dead. He's been dead. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how that ties to us. ADOS. So she says ADOS leaders, but then she go down to point 3, and then she says ADOS co-founders. So she's trying to tie. What I get from that is that she's trying to tie everybody who is either organizing on the ground, who is leading a chapter, who is doing. We all have been working with these people. I don't know John Tanton. I don't know anything about Progressives for Immigration Reform. They ain't got nothing to do with the advocacy work that I do on the ground here in Columbus, Ohio. I don't know anybody who's working with them. So don't try to lump us in and all this crap because see that's how people try to get people bait them and switch them. You know, just because that means that I may have a relationship with somebody here, but you're gonna try to put lump everybody that's part of the movement into one somebody's personal relationship. That is completely dishonest. And furthermore, we don't know what the relationship was with PFIR anyway. And if anybody want to ask Yvette. Like stop trying to make her out to be some white supremacist or a white supremacist sympathizer. That is nonsense. She is pro-black. Period. ADOS leaders want to split black representation on the 2020 census and make ADOS its own category. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. That is not a lie. And there's a reason for it. But she goes into and she says which would negatively impact the representation of the black community, potentially decreasing access to funding and other resources available to the black community overall. I'm trying to figure out how is that even possible? How are we trying to potentially negatively impact funding? Because it seems to be that if I look at everybody else on the census and you go look, there seems to be drop downs for everybody else. I don't see white folks being concerned about whether or not their ethnic background is on there. They want it on there. They're not concerned about what type of funding. Why should we be concerned about the decrease in funding? That is the problem. Like that. What is this? Like which would negatively impact the representation of black community. We are the black community. What black community? What black community? I see you, Fire Angel. She means the foreign black community. They don't represent us. Like that's the part I don't get. Like how can you come out and say this and then you turn around and you're like, well, it's going to we represent there's 35 million American descendants of slaves in the United States. 35 million. There may be 4 million, maybe 5 million non-black immigrants in the country, or people who come from who are not anchored in the descendants of slaves in the United States. That is about it. There is only about 5 million. So what she's saying is she don't want to be split. She don't want it to be split because she wants to make sure that these foreign blacks can have access. Hear me out now. Hear me out, people. They want to have access to the resources that are specifically for ADOS as they have been since they come to this country. They want every benefit of affirmative action and every single program, minority program that is established for ADOS that has been in law. They want to keep using these programs so they can keep springboarding us. They want to keep us as the bottom caste, and that she makes that known right here in her piece. It's not a decreased funding. No, no. We want the funding that's supposed to be to excuse me, that is supposed to come to us. We want it to come to us. There we go. There we go. So she goes on to talk about HR 40. ADOS co-founders claim to be outspoken advocates for cash payout reparations, but refuse to support HR 40. Now we have now we have gotten to this HR 40 stuff. The HR 40 is a nothing burger. HR 40 is a nothing burger because there is nothing to study. We have Antonio has always said that if you're going to talk about HR 40, there needs to be some money put to it. At least 200 to 500 billion dollars need to be earmarked, pushed out at first when it first rolls out to make sure that it's serious. Now, HR 40, the hearing was back in June, and it was a nothing burger. They had Danny Glover, who I don't even know why he was up there. You had, some Puerto Rican cat, Coleman Hughes, who uh, like they didn't. The only academic they had up there was Dr. Julianne Malvo, and she didn't really even get to talk. Like she had to kind of cut in and butt in, to kind of put her points, but they didn't have no scholars besides her. She's the only person that's an academic, that's an economist that can talk about reparations. Dr. Dirty was invited. Obviously, he couldn't make it because he already had a prior obligation. But here's the thing, family. HR 40 hasn't moved nowhere. It's still in the Judiciary Committee. It hasn't even came out of the subcommittee yet. That's the problem. It has. What other bill has 119 co-sponsors? I think it's 123 up to this date. I got to go back and check. But okay, we're gonna say 120 just for simple math. Over half. There are only 235 Democratic Congress people, men and women. They have the majority. Over half of the Democratic congressmen and women support HR 40, but for some reason there has never been a vote on it. How are we supposed to take this bill seriously? What is Sheila Jackson Lee doing right now? This was June. We have seen bills for DACA and protecting rights and all kind of things. We have seen bills get slammed and pushed across the board with no problem. We can't even get the bill to Nancy Pelosi on the floor. So that should tell you just how much you need to know about this HR 40 bill. They don't care. The only reason why, and this is why I feel that they did it, the only reason why HR 40 got a hearing in the first place was because they were tired of ADOS attacking the Congressional Black Caucus for being derelict in their duties and not protecting and not advocating for their black constituents that put them in office. That is it. They were tired of ADOS going after them. So it was like one day they woke up and said, you know what? Hey, we're gonna talk to Steve Cohen, and hey, Steve, we need to silence these Negroes. Hey, we need to give them HR 40 real quick so they can leave us alone. Let's just do a little hearing. And nothing has came out of it. Absolutely nothing. Here we are. It's an election year, so they're gonna kick the can down the road. We already know this drill. It's been going on for 30 years. This is the reason why the former Congressman John Conyers couldn't get no traction on this. Rest in peace to him. This is the reason why it kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed back because they don't care about black people. They don't want to apologize for the racist and systemic racism that has existed in this country since its inception, and they don't want to pay cash reparations out to us because they want to keep us where we are. That is the problem. This is a she said, but it she said they initially supported the bill. We initially because we wanted to get it pushed. Yes, we initially supported it, but because we wanted to make sure that it got to a vote so we can change the language in it. But now it's a frivolous excuse to move the goalposts and center the reparation movement on ADOS leadership instead of the communities they claim to represent. Where's this coming from? This is a frivolous excuse to move the goalposts. They want to change the name from ADOS, from African American to ADOS. Yes, we do. And you know why we want to do that? Because everybody has been using African American like it's going out of style. You let people tell you Barack Obama is African American, Kamala Harris was African American. Black folks are confused about who African American is, and we should have never accepted that title when Reggie Jack when Jesse Jackson came up with it. We should have never allowed ourselves to be considered that, because Africa is a continent and is not a country. Period. Period. You don't hear Nigerians calling themselves African American. They say that they Nigerian. If they over in the United States, they get considered Nigerian American. But most of the time they're tribal, so they'll tell you that they Igbo or something. You know what I'm saying? So why are we accepting this? So no, we don't want it. No, we don't want that title. So then she goes on. She says that we propose a policy that will require Black Americans to provide slavery documentation before having access to affirmative action and reparations. What is the problem with that? Dr. Dirty lays out how you can prove your ancestry. We already know. We already know who was here before the Civil Rights Bill. We know that it was majority descended of slaves. And it was probably about 300,000 Black immigrants, if that. We know when the implosion of Black immigrants happened into this country. It was in 1980. This is historical. It is proven. There's data out there that says this. We know this. We know this because in 1929, there was a bill that got pushed out that only allowed immigrants from European countries to come here. So we know this already. So I don't get it. I don't get why that shouldn't be the criteria. You should have to prove something. Because if you listen to Mitch McConnell and all these Republicans, they'll tell you we can't do reparations because we don't know who will get it. We don't know how we can go back and track. Well, guess what? If you want to track your stuff, the Mormons seem to have a nice little database that shows slave records. You might want to go to a Mormon church. And the reason why most of these folks are pissed off about this is because they know that their lineage doesn't tie them to chattel slavery here in the U.S. So if you go digging in their background, they coming from either some Caribbean country or from Africa, and they don't want that to deter them from trying to sneak in and get a piece of a reparations check. Let's move on. ADOS leaders bash and refuse to work with established Black reparation organizations like NCOBRA. Okay, let's get into this NCOBRA stuff. We didn't attack NCOBRA. NCOBRA attacked us. We didn't attack anybody. Everybody who have been an opponent of ADOS has came out and attacked us first. Nobody was talking about NCOBRA. What work have they been doing? They they claim to have been the first people to endorse and help write the reparations bill that John Conyers did. Okay, so for 30 years you didn't do anything because the bill is still sitting where it has always sat. So what movement have you been given? No, what happened was these elders were out here talking about Pan-Africanism and doing stuff with the Global Pan-African Commission and going out and doing stuff with CARICOM and doing all this other stuff. They were not focused on reparations here in the United States. They were trying to get reparations for everybody. That's what happened. And they lost focus. Okay, Marcus, what I'm gonna give you that soundbite. Okay, what I'm saying is, I'm not telling Black folks to join the Mormon Church. Okay, what I'm saying is, the Mormon Church has the slave records. They have them in their libraries for some reason. I don't know why they have those in their databases. I don't even know how the Mormon Church got a hold of these slave records. But that is a good resource if you want to go and try to track down some of your lineage stuff. There's other places. There's a place in Atlanta that has data as well. You got libraries. You got that stuff is everywhere. But don't you be using ancestry.com and me and ancestor 23 or me 23, whatever it's called. Use some real stuff. There's historical data out there. You can track your lineage. You can track it. But the Mormon Church is actually a good resource to go and find documents on slavery. Like I said, I don't know why they got the documents, but they seem to have a good historical account of slave records. Um, but yes, so I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Marcus, for bringing that up. I don't want folks to think that hey, they got an ADOS chapter leader telling people to join the Mormon Church. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm telling you that you can go there to and do some research, use their libraries to do some research. Uh, so where was I at? We talking about affirmative action, right? We talking about affirmative action. Um, um, yes, Friday they have the genealogy library. Great, they sure do. So we're gonna move on. Slavery papers, right? We talked about that. Okay, yes, we do. There should be some kind of documentation that you have to prove that you are a descendant of slaves. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't get that. But I guess they don't want to. They don't want to. Oh, here it is. This is what she said. The reason why, because it opened the doorway for government scrutiny of family records, increased surveillance, and exclusionary practices. Aren't we already being excluded from stuff? Like, aren't we already aren't we already being excluded? That is the reason why we need reparations in the first place. Because we have never been made whole. We in some aspects we have always been looked viewed and as three-fifths of a human. Our ancestors were terrorized after being freed. They were terrorized here, right here in the United States, by people who didn't look like them. Like did like Where's this revisionist history coming from? And this is why you know that she's not ADOS, because every talking point that she's using sounds like some white stuff that she learned in some white institutions. Because no black person talks like this. No black person who is anchored in data would sit up there and say that this is going to increase surveillance. Surveillance on who? Our community is already being surveilled. Like, don't you see? Do you not drive in the black neighborhoods and see cameras out on the light poles? Like, you never driven through Baltimore and seen the place where the wire was filmed at and saw all those cameras sitting up there? Like, you don't think that we already being surveilled already? We've been surveilled all the time. Here we go. ADOS leaders bash. Okay, I went over that one. We already talked about Cobra. Cobra didn't want to work with us. They work with some of their organization. I'm not gonna put all of Cobra in this, okay? Because there's some folks that have been um working. The local leaders have been working with ADOS. So that's a false narrative there, and saying that we bash them and don't want to work with them, because we have been working with them. So that tells you that she don't know anything about the movement. What she's basing this on is stuff that's going on with Dr. Conrad Worrell. That is one person. He does not represent all of Cobra. So I'm not gonna put this on Cobra that that all of them are the same, because they're not. They are not. ADOS leaders and their members frequently attack black historians, scholars, activists, and leaders through a form of online and in-person what called swarming. Who is ever first of all, who are these black historians that we're harassing? Like, could you have given a name? Scholars? Who? Pan Africanists? What she should have said was, we bash Pan African scholars. That's what she should have said. Activists? What activists are we bashing? What activists? Don't know. And leaders through a form of online and in-person harassment. So we are we doing it online, and then we're doing it face to face. Who are we harassing? Who who are we harassing? Called swarming? It's like that sounds like some stuff bees do. Like, so we out here just like, hey, we're gonna show up. The only person that actually gets in the faces of politicians is Jamie Fowler, and he does a great job of doing it, because he gets them on camera when they want to backtrack and want to sidestep conversations, and they don't want to talk about the issues that affected Black America. But they sitting around going to black churches and black restaurants and pandering, talking about what hip hop music they use and all this other stuff. I mean, the hip hop music they listen to, and if they ever smoke weed, and all the stuff that they think is stuff that we want to hear, instead of talking about the issues. So yes, shout out to Jamie Fowler. Hey, you know what? Hey, keep doing it, brother. Keep doing it. Keep getting these politician faces and make them answer these tough questions. Because everybody else right here, all these other pundits that are on TV that are black media pundits are too scared to ask these questions. They want to be part of the get along gang. They don't want to ask nothing. They don't want to demand nothing. You know, as soon as they get in these spaces, they want to see. Here's the thing, right? What I've noticed about these media pundits, they only want to act black when they're around black folks. They want to use black vernacular and ebonics and talk with slang and do all this sister girl and homeboy stuff. But as soon as they get in front of white folks, they code switch and pucker up and want to be politically correct. No, I need you to have that same energy that you have to. I need you to have that same energy that you have with when you trying to check black folks and you check these white folks when you're on these spaces. Don't be sitting up there being no coon now. You need to have that same energy. If you're gonna come at me and try to uh you know bloviate and do all this stuff, I need you to have that same energy when you get in front of your white counterparts. Don't be sitting up there uh doing all this stuff. And truth be told, just like you said, Angel, Fire Angel, they're darn go right. They wouldn't have to get swarmed that they were doing their job. Stop lying to us. They've been lying to us for 40, 50 years now. So here we go. Moving on. African leaders, okay, so excuse me. ADOS leaders seek to limit black immigrants from obtaining U.S. visas, similar to the policies advocated by white supremacists that are attempting to stop the browning of America by decreasing black and brown immigrants' entry into the U.S. I, I, where is that on ADOS101.com? Where is that statement at? Where have we ever? Where is that statement at? Show me the statement where we said we want to limit black immigrants from coming into the United States. I've never seen that statement. It's not on ADOS101.com. It's not on our website, ADOScolumbus.org. So I don't know where this statement comes from. To stop the browning of America. No, no, no. ADOS leaders do not believe that black Americans can or should have any connection with Africa. Hmm. Okay, don't know where that came from. They tell their followers to trace their lineage to America only and to stop acknowledging Africa as their home of ancestors. We say we are American descendants of slaves because our lineage is tied to chattel slavery. Not everybody. Some of our ancestors were products of slave rape. Like, like, where in Africa are we from? Can you tell me that, Miss Jessica, whatever your last name is, Jam? That's what you go by, Jam. What tell me please, if you want to, somebody, if she's on your Twitter handle, y'all can look up, her name is at tweeting jam. Tell somebody, hit her up and tell her come on. I will allow her to come on my channel tonight. I will send her the link. She can come on, she can explain this, because I want to know what country in Africa am I from, and can she tell me? Like, stop this madness. Stop this madness. Stop this madness. Nobody, no. If you want to go to Africa and go over there and visit, nobody's telling you that you don't have to do that. Nobody's telling you can't go to Africa. Hell, if you want to go over there and see stuff, go over there and see stuff. What's wrong with that? ADOS leaders have stated that Pan Africanism is dead because it is. Period. 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 And at, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is. And African Americans are more closely connected genetically to white Americans than the other people in Africa. She got that from Tone. She got that from Tone. Let's we have people who have products of slave rape in their family. Mine does. My fourth great grandmother was a product of slave rape. So majority of my family on my dad's side are mulattoes. They majority of them. Now the browning of like my skin complexion comes from a different side of the lineage that came into that family. But if my grandmother, my great aunt, I mean both of my great aunts and my grandmother, if you look at them, they can pass right now, and they're in their 90s. They can pass. So don't give me that crap about that we somehow or another are not genetically tied to white Americans. We are because there are a lot of people that are floating around who families were products of slave rape from the white slave masters. So don't discount that part of our lineage, because that is definitely part of our lineage. ADOS leaders and their members use radicalization tactics like othering by demonizing black immigrant communities for a lack of resources and jobs. When like blaming black immigrant communities for a lack of resources and jobs. I'm gonna go back and read that because I don't understand what is othering. Can somebody tell me what that is? What's the definition of othering? Because I like she using words, she using definitions that I don't even know in what context she's using them. So I guess if I had to guess, this is I guess this is we're saying that hey, they're getting our jobs. It's everybody but the descendants of slaves. They getting our jobs and resources. Yeah. Have you not seen the data? Have you not seen the data? See, this tells me that she's not anchored the data because she's not really researched the stuff. If you go looking at it, you will see that the other black immigrant groups that are black are doing way better than those that descended from slaves. That's not a lie. That's the truth, and it's backed up by data. So resources that were specifically given out to African Americans have been, and it's not just black immigrants that are doing it. So don't try to pit us against black immigrants. Because white women in this country have benefited more from affirmative action than any other minority group in this country. Go look it up. There were people in the 70s that were suing the federal government because they said affirmative action was reverse racism. A man out in Texas sued the University of Texas medical school because they had a quota for black medical students to get in, and he sued it and took it all the way to the Supreme Court. Go look it up. I don't know his name because I don't have it handy with me. They exactly. They want special treatment, but they failed into DACA just like Japanese, Israeli, Irish, and Chinese. Exactly. Yes. And shout out to Fire Angel. That's the part that she doesn't get. You know what I'm saying? Like no one has blamed them for the lack of resources and jobs. But what white folks would do is that they would use that data and say, you know what, the unemployment rate for blacks is lowest in the country. That's what Trump says, right? He always talks about that. But they don't go looking at the real data. You know, so if I got black immigrants who are getting jobs, who are getting jobs, who are doing all these things, right? If they doing all this, if they getting these jobs and resources, are they gonna start skewing numbers? Because the unemployment rate is based upon those that are working and those that are looking for employment. So if I'm completely disconnected from the system, because we know that African American men are 5 times likely to be incarcerated in this country than anybody else. So we locked up. So thank you, Friday. It's the bait case. Thank you so much. The bait case. That's the case for the case for the University of Texas. So y'all can go look that up. Go check that out and see how he sued the government for reverse racism. So a bunch of BS. You know what I'm saying? Um, but but We know this. So the like I said, the employment rate is tied to people who are looking for jobs and those that are in the workforce. But it doesn't say, you know, so everybody can get lumped in. So they lump us all in and say, the black unemployment rate is the lowest it's been and whatever, right? But it doesn't account for what kind of jobs these people have got. If y'all actually go look at those reports, you'll see that most of this stuff is in retail and the restaurant industries. So these people are not even having real careers. These are like working at McDonald's and Walmart or like stores. So as long as you got a job, they consider you not to be, technically you're not you're not unemployed. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a job. So they factor that in. So and sometimes these people are having two and three jobs. So when they're looking at the job market, if I'm working two jobs, that means I'm counting twice. That's how they do the numbers. So it's a failed number, it's a skewed number. Actual unemployment rate around for African Americans is probably around 10%. Um, so um, the ADOS movement is suspected to be supported by a strategic propaganda campaign propped up by a large number of anonymous online accounts like paid trolls. This has already been debunked. New York Times, Farrah Stockman debunked this, and the guy from CNN, the data guy from CNN, he debunked it as well. So that's already been debunked. I'm not even gonna get into that because that has already been debunked. But what we do know is people like Yvette Nicole Brown has a bunch of trolls for followers. We know that. And all of us have already done all these things to prove that we are real people. We've already did like analysis and stuff like that to show that how many accounts we got and how many followers we got are real people, and this is not troll activity. So that all that stuff been debunked. I don't even know why she put that in there. ADOS leaders use the work of deceased leaders like Queen Mother Audrey Moore. Queen Mother Moore was the first person that actually tried to do reparations. Yep, yep. Yep. And Martin Luther King in their campaign in order to build trust in the black community. Martin Luther King said he was a descendant of slaves. I don't understand. I don't understand how you can say anything else. The man wrote, and where do we go from here? We are descendants of slaves. Alrighty. They use this work of the Black American ancestors out of context and exclude all references to African roots, African identity, Pan African, or anything. Can somebody show me Can somebody show me where Martin Luther King was walking around in Pan African garb when he was repping the red, black, and green? When he was wearing the dashiki, calling himself an African name, going by Baba. Can anybody show me that? He was killed because Martin Luther King was killed because he said we're coming for a check. It had nothing to do with no type of African identity or none of that stuff. He was fighting for a check. So I don't get where we use his work. See, this is the problem. They don't realize that there's a book club assigned to ADOS. Like Yvette does a book club, a real good book club. It's called Breaking Brown Book Club. And where she lays out different books for us to go read so we can go research and then we talk about these things. So I don't understand why these people don't think that we're not getting lessons in black identity and culture. We read a lot. So when activists are out doing their work, that's why we can regurgitate the data and get people and talk about issues with politicians from a space that is of clarity and makes sense and a logical perspective. Because we have done research. Okay, this ain't no propaganda and no talking points. This is stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis to educate, to re-educate ourselves, to make sure that when we out and about and we're talking to folks, that we're talking from a place that that doesn't come off as not being real and also is looked at as being fake. Okay, so ADOS leaders, I'm not even getting to that last point because it's just dumb. ADOS leaders seek to take credit for all current reparations discussion, including 16. She put it here, we're trying to take credit for the 1619 project. I think we told Nicole Hannah Jones project apart. It got ripped to shreds. Yvette did a good breakdown of that of 1619 project and showed where it lacked depth. And the recent hearing on HR 40 with Tanisha Coates and Donna Glover testified because they didn't talk about anything. Hell, why was Danny Glover even at the HR 40 hearing? The brother didn't say like I don't even know what he was talking about. Ta-Nehisi Coates gets so much props for his case for reparations. That's the only reason why he was there because he wrote that article in the Atlantic. But further than that, what else has he wrote about, and where has he been advocating for reparations on a globe on a national scale? Please point it to me, because it seems like he gives people a pass when he talks about this stuff. It's not tied to money. So what type of reparations is he talking about? Like stop being lazy. And when we dissect these projects, we're critical because it has to be made to a point where people realize that if you're going to be talking about something, you need to have depth in it, and you need to be able to put it out so you can really make a case. Because this is ADO, this is our life. This is what we're fighting for. This ain't some, you know, just a run of a mill, and we just out here just saying stuff. No, when people are when we criticize these things, it's because they're not supposed to be feel good stories. We should be making cases and claims as to why reparations need to be paid to descendants of slaves. We cannot give the liberal media, the conservative media, any type of leeway when it comes to this, because both sides have been the culprits in the actual demise of black people. Period. It's not a conservative thing. It's not a liberal thing. This is American ideology, and it's tied to and it's tied to the our heritage and our lineage here in America. We are the products of it. So don't get that twisted. So then she goes in, talks about ADOS leadership, white supremacy, and the black vote. She goes back talking about where the Southern Poverty Law Center considered PFR John Tatton as being a white supremacist. So you know, so she goes into that. But here's the thing, right? How many people give credit? How many people give credit to the Southern Poverty Law Center? Like, because they the same thing that considered the Nation of Islam a terrorist organization too. So are we really gonna be citing what the Southern Poverty Law Center says about folks? Hmm, okay, okay. Just putting that out there. Let's keep going. She does this whole piece on Tatton that has nothing to do with us. I would like to know where where is this coming from? Like, come on, like let's do some real research here. With fewer black immigrants in America, like she says, with fewer black immigrants in America, the movement can stall a black and brown majority population. Why? Like, first of all, here's my thing. Okay, so we're talking about this black and brown coalition, right? That these people some magically think. History has proven that once Latinos come to this country, they identify as white. So where's the brown at? Ain't no brown. Ain't no brown. It's black. We in this fight. And then go look at how go look at how Latinos vote. Okay? Anybody, I challenge you. Go look at their voting, the way they vote. You will see that there is only one block of folks who have historically voted for Democrats at an alarming rate. At an alarming rate. At an alarming rate. And that is black people. over 90%. Black women are like 97%, somewhere around there. Black men, we kind of fall off. We're about 88%. But for the most part, as a collective unit, black and white, black women, black men, we voted about 93% rate for Democrats. Latinos are down like 60%. So one third of them come to the country and then decide that they don't want to deal with anything. If you think, and that's the problem. That's the issue. If there was this big black and brown coalition that they talk about, then Texas and Florida would be blue states. Let's be honest here. Texas and Florida would be blue states if their logic of this black and brown coalition existed. But it doesn't. And they need to stop saying that it does. Because they think that they can just bring people here, give them citizenship, run them through, get them citizenship, and they think that, oh, that this is going to give us the majority of the population, and we're going to have this voting power. No, stop saying this. Just stop saying this. Just stop saying it altogether. Just stop saying it, because it's not. This is not historically. It ain't even possible, and it don't. And it don't. And it don't. And it don't make any sense. You said I need a moderator. Anybody want to become a moderator? Hell, hey, I can't pay you. I live in the ADS life. You can be a moderator though. I can't see, honestly. I can't see what y'all see. So if somebody's saying something crazy, I can't see that in my chat group. I'm only seeing like live stuff. So I can't really. I'm probably I can't see it all. So if there's a bunch of people in there that's trolling, I can come back out once I publish it and delete them out of there, out of the chat. But I can't see them. So um so um but anyway, so I see this dude say Jack is saying stuff, brother. ADOS is gay as hell. Like, bruh, like seriously, I don't need that. I'm not gay, and I'm not gonna tolerate that type of crap in my chat. This ain't the channel for that, fam. This ain't the channel for that. If you want to come over here, if you want to debate, then send me your email address, and I'll bring you on my channel, and you can debate me live. But I'm not gonna tolerate that crap in my mentions. Like seriously, you can go to hell on with that. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, my next video, I'm just gonna have you moderate. We'll set it up so you can moderate the chat. And yeah. So we moving on. So they say that we hijacked the legacy of Queen Mother Moore. Don't know how we did that. Because she and Dr. Darity got into it on Twitter, I guess. Because he said, is a playbook circulating for the use of xenophobic terms? Was Queen Mother Moore being xenophobic or anti-black when she organized a committee for reparations for the descendants of the United States slaves? Yes. So she came back out and said, you know, she wanted to bring up the fact that Queen Mother Moore was working with the Jamaican-based UNNI and Universal Association of Ethiopian Women. Yeah, that was later on in her life. She did kind of do some stuff, and nobody's saying that she didn't. But her main work was working on reparations for the United States for descendants of U.S. slavery. So I don't get where all this other stuff is coming from. Then she goes into talking about um the hijacking the legacy of Martin Luther King. How are we hijacking the legacy? The man said he was descendants of slaves. So then she goes in and she brings in uh the fact that Coretta Scott King visited Ghana and met with the Ghanaian first president. What does that got to do with MLK? Like, Coretta Scott King did a lot of stuff after King died. But that's not tied to King's legacy, though. That's Coretta Scott King legacy. So what is she going over there visiting with him? Got anything to do with MLK saying that we're descendants of slaves? Ghana tells us that the forces of the universe are on the side of justice. What justice? These people like what justice? What justice is in the Gold Coast right now? Are they willing to cut a check? Are they just willing to sell people an opportunity to come back to visit, the gate of no return, and come party, and take pictures over there with celebrities. Because if Ghana and all these other countries like Benin and all of them that sold our ancestors into slavery, if they ain't willing to cut a check, then I don't want to hear nothing they got to say. Why would I want to go visit something that my ancestors got robbed and stole from, and then got sold and beaten and raped into, and why would I want to go visit that? If I want to see the inherent effects of racism, Jim Crow, and slavery, I'm going to the South, where I'm from. We're still we're still going on to this day, and in the North, we're still going on, where we had sundown towns. I don't have to go anywhere outside the country to see the effects of colonialism and white imperialism. I can look at it in every single state in this country, and I don't have to leave to go do it anywhere. There, here we go. This is the crazy stuff. MLK was much aware of the Black American cultural ties to Africa, other people of the African descent, and the global push for freedom. Who was fighting with King? Where are all these leaders at after King died? Where they went? Can somebody point them to me? Where all these people went? What happened to these leaders that King supposedly was aware of and all this stuff? What happened to them? Where they at now? And don't give me the talking points about the Black Panthers, because they're in exile and they locked up. That was a whole separate movement. And their identity and the way they view stuff was not in line with what King was doing. So where the leaders at? Please, can somebody please give me the leaders? Please, please. So then she has a purity test. Slavery isn't itself is not a lineage. What? Slavery itself is not a lineage. Then what is it? If our existence in America is, for those of us who descend from slavery, if our existence in America is only tied to chattel slavery, then what is it? Because maybe she don't understand what lineage is. She says that African Americans descended from maroon communities. Where? African Americans descended from people that changed their names and location after emancipation or escapes. No, no. They didn't change their name after emancipation or escapes. They came to the United States and they were given a name. And then their ancestors, their lineage ties were given American names. That's why our last names are mostly American, mostly European, because our families took on the names of their slave masters. Like like I at some point you got to think that, like this is why I'm debunking all this stuff, because this is the stuff that people say, we Mindy men, and we come from Moors, and we come from where show me where this is true, because all the stuff that I found on my family ties me back to North Carolina chattel slavery. Like, come on here. African Americans with no documentation beyond a grandparent or great grandparents, descendants of Africans that escaped or moved to Canada, Nova Scotia, Mexico, and Liberia. See, here's the thing. She wants to say that. So what are these people? If they left the country, then if they left the country, do they have a justice claim here in America? They left for a reason, right? So they can come back and say, "Yup, my lineage is tied to child slavery in the United States." Who knows? But for me, I have a direct lineage to Liberia, because I actually have a side of my family they're American Liberians. They were part of the last group of Black folks that left the states and got paid to leave. So they left and went and never came back. All right, so I do have American Liberian roots. I have a whole lineage that's tied to it, but they're in Liberia. And when in Liberia, and see what she didn't say is when the United States had Liberia, because Liberia used to be an American colony. That was part of us. They actually started the country of Liberia. And when the blacks in the South, because this is what see this was tied to what Lincoln was doing. Lincoln really didn't want to emancipate blacks. He wanted us to leave. He was trying to get us to leave, and they set up the Liberian colony for that to be an exit for black folks to leave the country and not to come back. So if she's gonna bring this up, you're gonna bring up Liberia. You need to put Liberia into context on what it is. If you look at the Liberian flag, it looks just like the American flag. It looks just like it. It's got red, white, and blue and stripes. Red, white stripes. Go look at it. Go take a look. I'm not lying. Go take a look at it. And when the American blacks came, the ones who had descended from slaves and had been enslaved, went to Liberia. They took over the country so that the actual people who were already there, the natives were there, were pissed, and it started a war which is still going on to this day. Go look it up. I'm dropping gems. You know what I'm saying? So, so why would they be excluded from ADOS? She said. So she said that would these people be excluded from payouts? Would they pass the ADOS Black Nativist Purity Test? Would they be considered worthy of citizenship, affirmative action, reparations? You're not talking about descendants of slaves here. Like, 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 come on. You talking about immigrants? Just stop this crap. Just stop it. Who is going to manage the fact-finding witch hunt expedition? Who ultimately decide who among us is pure Black American? I can tell you're not. If you're not anchored in data, and you don't, and you can't decipher what exactly um the justice claim is. If you're going to be naive and ignorant to the fact that descendants of slaves have a unique justice claim here in America, then who you and who sent you? Like somebody told you to write this article because I don't I find it very hard to believe that you just decided and woke up and said, you know what, today I'm gonna write a hit piece about ADOS because all these attacks keep coming at us and and they're coming from all fronts. And every time there's a new attack, it's something new, and it's stuff that nobody can even quantify or qualify. So it's just talking points. ADOS is an LGBT group. Where? Where? We're anti-immigrant. Where? You're xenophobes. Where? You're anti-black. Black. Where? You're a white wing. Where? You're a Democratic shield. Where? Come on. Like, what are we? Seriously. And why are all the attacks on us? Like, seriously. Like, I have never seen a movement that is dead set on have ideas in an agenda focused group that is fighting for a particular thing for black folks, and black people are mad at them. Like, does that even make any sense to anybody? Like, does that really make any sense? Because you know, it don't make any sense to me. Does not make any sense. We're moving on. Because there's only a few more pages of this trash. She goes, she kind of goes into some fact finding that she thought she was doing, and you know, um, oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. She goes into the piece about Amadou, uh, Amadou Diallo. I forgot how to pronounce the dude's name. I'm jacking it up, and I know I am. I apologize to his family. Um, um, she says that nobody asked him. No one asked him, uh, was he black? See, this is the talking point that I hear a lot, and it goes back to policing, right? And I had this discussion with some Somalis here in Columbus, Ohio, in regards to this very very topic. When black people are shot by the police, no one asks if they are a descendant of slave. They just see them as a black person. That is true. But when it's time to fight for issues about black folks, we don't see y'all. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. We do not see you. You are nowhere to be found. You're not on out in the streets fighting. You're not doing any of that. What you're doing is shutting your doors, closing your blinds, and saying, "Woo, that's not us. We don't act like that. We're not radical. We don't act like that. We're the good ones. We're the good ones." That's what you do. And I made that point to them, and when I made that point to them, they acknowledged where I was coming from because they knew it was the truth. So they want to use that, but you know, um, what does that got to do with reparations? That has nothing to do with reparations. That has nothing to do with reparations. So that's a talking point. That's a talking point. Um, Additionally, increased hostility towards black immigrants will only lead to increased hostility to the old. First of all, what hostility is black immigrants facing that we ain't facing? Are they locked up like we are? Are they getting shot in the streets like we are? It's only been a few times. And then here's the thing, right? Why is it when they get shot by the cops, their families decide to uh forgive the forgive. We just gonna forgive you, and we don't want you to be prosecuted. See, we don't do that because our families have been terrorized by the United States police forces and this police state since we've been here. We know better to be apologizing for people, what I'm saying, apologizing to folks that have been oppressing us since they brought us here. So you're not gonna see too many black ADOS fans talking about they forgiving cops for killing each other. No, we're gonna be fighting to get these people up out of office, and we're gonna continue to fight for issues that affect us in a police state. We're fighting for policing reform. Where y'all at? Where these Pan African at when it comes to policing reform? Where you at? Where you at? I don't want to hear that no more. I don't want to hear that we all black and the cops shoot us like, just the same. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that because yes, you may get shot because you represent your blackness, but when it comes times to advocate for police reform, y'all are very apologetic to the people that are oppressing us. Let's keep it 100. Amber Geiger should have got a lot more years than she did. However, Botham John's family decided to sit in national TV and cry for her mercy. You ain't getting that out of ADOS family. You're not getting that. Are they setting up? Are they actually going to be advocating? Or are they going back overseas because she came from overseas, so she could be at the case? So is she coming back? Is she going to stay in the United States, set up a foundation, and go tackle police reform? Let's see. Let's see if she does it. I promise you, she's not, because they already gave the bag away. They ain't getting no money for the city of Dallas. So what's going on here? Let's keep it 100. All right. So she goes and talks about visibility online and be above, and she talks about Yvette's YouTube channel and all that stuff there. She said that it's suspected that it's being elevated by digital platforms to listen, man. Listen, it's being elevated by digital platforms in order to sway the election interference. Let me get something straight here, okay? Why why is everybody so dead set on ADOS being the reason that these folks gonna lose elections? Okay, let's keep it 100. Okay, can we keep it 100, please? Why are why 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 are these people why are these people dead set on us? Like, why are they dead set on us? Like, seriously, like like what are we doing? What are we doing that is stopping the black electorate from voting because we finally decided after 50 years of voting for one particular party without really asking for anything that we finally decided to demand them to do their damn job. Like what is the problem with that? And we're saying that if you don't do your job, then we're not going to vote for you. We're going to vote for somebody else to come in and take. Like, when are politicians supposed to be challenged in their space? And why do they feel that they should just consistently stay there without doing anything for the people who voted for them? Like, politics is an exchange here. Like, why is it so bad for us? Like, nobody's talking about the sunrise movement, right? When they show up with little kids at Senator Feinstein's office with little kids talking about climate change, right? And bashing her, nobody says nothing. Oh, the little young lady from Sweden that Trump bashed, and everybody went after him because he bashed a young girl who's autistic that's fighting for climate change. Nobody says anything about her that she's trying to sway an election. But as soon as black people start saying that we want something for our vote, it's an issue. But everybody else is advocating. You go look at the Latino caucus, the Hispanic caucus, and go look at what their mission is in Congress. Take a look at their Twitter handle and see what they advocate for. Nobody says nothing about all these Latino groups, Vote Latina, uh, the other little group down in Texas that'll fight for all these Latinos. Nobody says anything to them. They don't call them, uh, you know, xenophobic, and they don't call them all these other groups, right? They don't call them all these names. They don't say that they spreading disinformation and they trying to swear an election. They don't do that with them. But as soon as ADOS decide to vote for our interests and our interests only, and it's gonna mess up their bottom line, then all of a sudden we a disinformation campaign. And then they get people online like Shireen Mitchell to show up on Joy Reid's show talking nonsense. And then when she gets checked for it, she oh my God, I'm a victim. See, they cyberbullying. Well, hell, nobody was talking about you. You came for us first. If you would have kept your mouth shut and not try to throw ADOS under the bus, because here's the thing: you put the claim, the actual group name on MSNBC. We didn't. It was on national television. You had us up there front and center as a misinformation and disinformation campaign. You did that, not us. No, like they need to stop this. Like like all we're doing is fighting for our people. We're out in our neighborhoods passing out literature, telling people about the linear wealth gap, talking to people about reparations and the black agenda, talking about how HBCUs are not funded properly and how small businesses are not funded properly. How we need to get increases in SBA loans and how we need to stop all this systematic redlining and gentrification going on in our neighborhoods. That's real stuff. That ain't misinformation. That's the crap that we see every day when we walk out our neighborhoods. When we see neighborhoods who have been systematically, the wealth has been calcified and extracted out of for decades and decades and decades. All of a sudden, you start seeing people walking around with dogs that don't look like you. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. So, so we're gonna keep moving on. So she talks about the no agenda, no vote. Critics call it as an amplified voter suppression. No, what's voter suppression? What's really voter suppression is a practice that these parties are playing with, where where they tell you that you have these choices of people to vote for, and that's all that you can vote for. That's voter suppression. That's voter suppression. When super delegates can override the delegate count inside of a particular state and swear an election. That's voter suppression. Let's keep it 100. Where a a person can sit there and run for office in a primary where it's gerrymandered, and they can win, represent 700 to 900,000 people, and they only receive 10,000 votes. That's voter suppression. Because how many people are out? How many of these politicians are actually campaigning right now in their congressional districts for your vote? Besides the I'm talking about the incumbents now. Are they knocking on doors? Are they trying to tell you what they're doing in Congress? No, they're not because they don't care. They do not care. It's benign neglect. They do not care. So they mad at us because we telling all the people in our neighborhoods and our communities, we going out knocking on doors and we telling people what your representation has been lying and not doing for you, and they have a problem with it. Oh, it's voter suppression. No, this is voter education. We need you to vote. We need you to vote for your interests, not because the person has a Democrat by their name. Let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. Like this is like I said, this channel is unapologetically black, and every time I bring something on, I'm gonna talk about these issues. You know, here we go. ADOS is mostly considered a fringe movement. She said this a few times. I don't know what she mean by fringe. They had we had a conference. She said we had a conference. We had people like Marianne Williamson, Cornel West, and Sandy Darity. Well, Sandy Darity was not at the conference, so I don't know why she put him in there because he wasn't at the conference. And then she says that Cornel West has been preaching black nativism and in alignment with ADOS movement. But she just said that ADOS is the one that is attacking these black leaders, right? ADOS leaders. Well, we've been attacking folks, but then she comes out and attacks him. Isn't that kind of hypocritical? He has Sandy Darity has faced backlash for his for ADOS, but remains a supporter. Backlash from who? Has Duke University censored Dr. Darity? He's an academic. Had they censored him? So what backlash? You mean from people like Greg Carr, who's at Howard University? You mean the Pan Africanists? That's who he's getting backlash from? Because the data that he wrote about what you get wrong about a racial wealth gap wasn't just Dr. Darity's work. There was a lot of other folks that's on there. And for some reason, people like to focus on Dr. Darity and Antonio being part of this report. They're like Darity wrote it by himself. There were a lot of other academics on this actual report. So why aren't y'all bringing that smoke to them? Like, why aren't y'all bringing them up? Like, seriously, seriously and realistically, like let's stop this. Then she brings in Black Lives Matter is the strength of Black Lives Matter is inclusiveness and its embrace of overall Black collective. Where the hell? I'm sorry, I said I wasn't gonna do this tonight, and I know my wife is probably watching it, and she was like, "Oh my God, here you go." But I gotta say this: what the hell is Black Lives Matter doing? It's a fringe movement. Where are their leaders? Like seriously, where are the people who amplified Black Lives Matter at right now? They're not doing no Black Lives Matter stuff. Like where are they at? Where are these leaders at? Please point me to anything that they are doing under the auspice of Black Lives Matter. Please show me. Please show me. Because they haven't done anything since Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown. Let's keep it 100. Black Lives Matter hasn't been effective in anything that they have done. Now I give props to the group that's in New NYC in the great state of New York, the Greater New York chapter. But and I give props to my homeboy Zilly and his chapter in Paterson, New Jersey. But where are the rest of the chapters at? And what are they doing? Like where what are they doing? At least I can see that Black Lives Matter Greater New York it was fighting along with Eric Garner's family. They were protesting everything with him. I can see what Zilly's doing with Patterson. They fighting the police department in Patterson and the school board. That stuff is quantifiable. Where is Black? Where the rest of them are? Like seriously, they go on CNN. They've started other movements. They've went off and branched off and did everything else because Soros funded them and they ran off with the bag. That's what happened. That's what happened. That's why all these chapters went away from them. Why? Because they had people that infiltrated the movement that wasn't a part of the movement that became spokespeople. Let's keep it 100. When, let's talk about Ferguson right now, since she want to bring Black Lives Matter into this whole thing. So she said that we're intending to align ADOS with the strength and depth of Black Lives Matter. Okay, Ferguson was Michael Brown. Before the Black Lives Matter people got to Ferguson, let's keep it 100. Ferguson had activists already on the ground. Shout out to my man Darren Seal, rest in peace, my brother. There were already activists on the ground in Ferguson. When Black Lives Matter came there, they hijacked every single thing them boys were doing on the ground. And Darren Seals came out and scathed them for what they did. They ran off with a bag. Then they had what's the guy name that wears the blue coat? Oh, D. Ray McKesson, who was never affiliated with any Black Lives Matter chapter. He somehow became the spokesman for it because he kept showing up on CNN. I think it was a co-op move. Somebody put him there. He was a plant because he kept showing up on TV and he kept getting locked up. Sometimes he kept getting out of jail. And then next thing you know, he in the White House with Obama. Let's keep it 100. And when was the last time you see him shout out Black Lives Matter? Go to his Twitter, see what he's doing. So don't come to me talking about we trying to do what Black Lives Matter did. No, Black Lives Matter got co-opted and their whole mission changed. They were online shouting out Black Lives Matter. None of the people who actually were doing stuff were doing any type of work. They never organized anything. All the work was done by everybody in the streets, and they got no credit for it. Let's keep it 100. While Alicia Garza and the rest of the other two women decided to run off with a bag and start other movements. So don't compare us to them. Don't compare us to them. Let's keep it 100. Friday said they're in Los Angeles. I bet they are. I bet they are, Friday. They out there living a good life on Soros money. Like, let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. So she goes on for even more, and she talks about online harassment and swarms. We already went over that. I'm not going into that. And everybody, she's bringing up some people talking about shut the f up, biatch, and all this stuff. There, don't be fooled by anti-Trump rhetoric. We're coming for tangibles 2020. Blah blah. So here's the thing: activist breed nuisance, right? When are these people going to be honest about who attacked who? Because all these rapper Talib Kweli, now here we go. Here we go. Rapper Talib Kweli, Mark Thompson. Hey, let me break it down. Okay. Bree Newsom Bass attacked us. She came out and she got the globalist perspective. She has not done anything for the upliftment of black folks besides climb up on a pole. Let's be honest. Let's keep it one. She's known for climbing a pole. Known for climbing a pole. She's not done anything else. Everything else she talks about is from some white imperialistic global stuff, global society stuff. Like go check out actress Yvette Nicole Brown. Yvette Nicole Brown attacked us and blocked everybody and came out and said ADOS is trash. And she from Ohio. And she won't come see none of the activists. She won't every time she's in Ohio, she's running away from us. So she's a weakling. And she said that she's not black people famous. She's white folks famous. So she already told you what she doing. She doing all this for her white for acceptance among white society. She's not rooted in anything black. She's not rooted in anything black. Like let's be real here. Okay, Talib Kweli was the first person to come out to say ADOS is trash. Only reason why he got into the conversation because we was bashing Kamala Harris. Ever since she done ran off and she's not in the race no more, you don't hear anything from him at all. His Twitter has went silent. And every time he posted stuff, the people who was backing him up happened to be folks that were not in the United States. How do we know this? Because it was already proven that these folks were overseas doing this. So who had the online trolls? Let's keep it 100. Radio host Mark Thompson. Let's keep it real. Mark Thompson lost his job on keeping it real with him. He lost his XM radio job because he went up to New Jersey, got in the face of a guy who wasn't even ADOS, assaulted him, and then went on TV and said that he was the guy was ADOS and assaulted him. And when it all came out, the guy himself, his name is Africa, that's what he goes by, came out and said, "I'm not ADOS," and I got assaulted by Mark Thompson. Next thing you know, Mark Thompson loses his job on XM Radio Progress. Let's keep it real. He went on there. He went on there in his little daishiki and all that stuff. The yellow daishiki trying to get points for attacking us. Said that he was part of NARC, which is the National African American Reparations Coalition, which is a subset of NCOBRA. Where has he been at? Where's he been at? What what bills is he advocating for? What politicians is he meeting with? Let's keep going. Joy Reid. I listen. Joy Reid got attacked because Joy Reid decided to keep bringing these fools on her channel, bashing us, saying that we were Russian bots. This goes all the way back to February. There's an article on URL written by on URL that says that this was a planned attack. We know that for a fact it was a planned attack, and she's been doing it. And she constantly keeps doing it. So they even mocked the death of Elijah Cummings. The person that did this tweet, his hashtag says FBA. Doesn't he put ADOS in parentheses, but he said Foundational Black Americans in all caps FBA. Said that Yvette even hosted the show. That she even hosted the show. Um, come on now. Thanksgiving Day, they attacked Sheila Jackson Lee because she handed out turkeys to people in her community. Why is charity in the black community always a good thing? Like, why is it always a good thing? Like, at some point, we have to look at ourselves that are these folks are not handing out turkeys in white communities. They're not going out in the communities handing out turkeys to white folks. But every time you turn around, this is going on in our communities. Why? Because we don't have no money. Okay. And it should be a disgrace that people in her congressional district are having to rely on charity donations in order to have a good meal for Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's the problem. Because if they had economic power and we're included economically in our economy, and they had wealth, there would be no need for charity. We'll be able to focus on other stuff. But these folks are focusing on making sure that they have a meal, a hot meal for Thanksgiving. And she out there, hey, I'm handing out turkeys. Well, cut a check. How about that? Get to work and work on reparations. So you don't have to go back out in Houston and do this. Like, let's keep it real. So she keeps going on the Pan African response. So she's giving a response for first of all, where's this Pan African movement at? Are there chapters? Who's leading it? Is there like a council of Pan Africanists? They go somewhere like a retreat and they come out with uh policy positions and they're meeting with politicians to promote this. Like where's this movement at? Can somebody point that to me? Can you show me where is it at? Because this whole thing, she gives a response. She gives a response, and she's giving a response for Pan Africanists, but she don't have a movement attached to it. Like, so this is just her own response. And if y'all want to see it, go look at it. Because she turns around, she actually goes in and says that ADOS, they act like a group online, but they actually have chapters. She actually listed the chapters. She listed some of us. She actually has the names of some of the websites like ADOSLA.org and ADOSColumbus.org and ADOS.NYC, and she has a few of them. She has a few of them on here. So yeah, great. Thanks, Friday. Cause see, I don't know anything about it. So Black Lives Matter LA is doing stuff too. Good. I'm glad they are. Like I said, there's some chapters that are doing stuff, but the people who started it ain't doing nothing with any of this stuff. So like I said, NYC, Patterson, I add LA in there. So there they go. So she goes and does this response and all this other stuff, and then she has her sources, right? So it's ironic that most of the sources that she got are written from immigrants. Kanta Aji, the torture logic of ADOS from the outline, like from the outline, right? I don't know who the outline. Okay, is that a credible news source here in America? Well, that's a blog post. Then Africa, does the ADOS and MAGA convergence signal imminent economic collapse? That's a Medium article. Anybody can write on Medium. Hell, I write on Medium. That don't mean I'm credible. Shit, I got a Medium account and I write and I write on there as well. It's a blog post. BuzzFeed, fake black voter bots could sideline real black voices in 2020. That is from March when all that stuff was um going on with the fake bot stuff. So somebody named Brian Crawford wrote an article and for the final call, and they've come back and retracted that one. Um, Shouts out to ADOS Chicago, who's been working with it, who's been doing stuff to bridge that relationship. See, she don't even know what we're doing, but she want to be citing these sources. ADOS wants reparation, but at what cost? That was done by the Daily Dot. Somebody named T. Drayton back in April. She has a bunch of sources. But here's the thing. What is interesting to me is that she did all these, right? She got all these sources. She got the top 5 reasons ADOS is trash. December 5th by somebody named Strategy Camp. Media Matters wrote an article trolling. Tariq to Lee's article. She said he wrote it in November. But he actually wrote the article way back in April. So if this was a if this was actually an article that she had to turn in with works cited, she is flunked because her even the stuff that she wrote about when they were published is wrong. So what's funny is I find that she got all these articles. She got 2 pages of work cited, right, where she's got her work from. Yet there was a New York Times article, 2 of them actually, that she just left out of. So if you're gonna do a propaganda piece and you're supposed to be trying to dismiss something, you're gonna slant it the way you want to slant it, right? Most journalists do that. But at least be intellectually honest and politically honest when you're gonna do the assessment. Just do that. Do that. Because all this stuff here is trash. It's trash. This is a trash article. That's why I put a big X through it on my thumbnail. It's trash. And the fact that I don't even know who you are, but yet Phil, you blocked me on Twitter tells me that you were trash. Because this is intellectually lazy, and you don't want anybody. See what you did was you basically showed your hand, and then you hid your face, and then you didn't want nobody to debunk what you said, so you just kind of threw it out there. Let me see if it stick. That's trashy. Now I'm not gonna call my sister trash to her face as far as her personally. I'm talking about this journalism because regardless of this trash that she put out, she's still my sister in arms. But this is trash. This is absolute trash, and this is trash. Period. Hijack the black identity. We can't hijack something that we already are. Okay. So moving forward, stop trying to come attack ADOS with this crazy content. We're going to challenge you on it Shout out to my boy Reggie. He already did some on this. I wasn't even going to do this tonight. I actually was going to talk about the wars and what's going on in Iran and military deploying, and because I'm also a military member, and I feel for those brothers and sisters, especially the black troops, because we already deal with trauma coming from our neighborhoods, and we got to go over here and deal with this crap overseas. That's what I was going to deal with tonight. But I saw this article and I had to jump on it because we have to, even as content creators, everybody who has a channel, has an outlet, and you do something, it is our job to dispel and debunk all this stuff, right? Yvette and Antonio shouldn't have to come on and have to be the only people who are destroying these articles. Like, if we are in this movement, we are part of this, and everything that these people write is not just about Yvette and Antonio. They, they are talking about us as well and the work that we're doing. You see that she didn't quote any ADOS person. Everything was ADOS leaders, ADOS co-founders. That means that she didn't interview nobody. So she sat back and she decided to just write this article and just do it, and then that was it. So I, at this point, I'm trying to figure out what these people's angle is, because it seems like somebody's paying these folks to come from up under a rock somewhere, and we got to stop this ADOS movement. It's 2020. Our message is only going to be amplified more because people are realizing just what these parties are doing and what they're not doing, and what these politicians are doing and what they're not doing. So our message is going to keep going. We're not stopping. So you can keep trying to write hit pieces all you want. It's not going to work in the grand scheme of stuff. Antonio always says we're coming, but that's because we are. We're coming to a city near you. I think she's in Washington D.C. We have ADOS in the DMV area. Stop hiding. Stop hiding. Show your face. Show your hand. So people can debunk all this stuff. Don't be scared. Cowards run and write articles and then block everybody that is opposed to it. That's a coward. Don't be a coward. Come on. Show your strength. Show your strength in this moment. So with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Good conversation. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to grow this channel. Like I said, this is my second broadcast. I'm probably gonna be bringing them once a week. But leave your comments. Like I said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And till then, I will see you guys again later. Peace out.